Today we're making chicken leek soup, which is actually chicken leek, carrot, celery, potatoes, and some other things soup, but not noodles, which you won't notice or miss because it's so good.
You suck at cooking, yeah, you totally suck.
We're going to start by heating up some oil to medium, which is actually hot if you wait long enough. Hot enough to sear these boneless chicken thighs. Whoever said you need to sear on medium high is either impatient or has a weak stove. We'll cook these until it's 536, and then we'll flip them over and cook them until it's around 543. If you're cooking this at the wrong time, you can just cook it for 5 to 7 minutes per side. And believe me when I say you do not want your face directly over the pot, unless you want a searing hot micro splattering facial, which you do not. Then set it aside and take the pot off the heat. Hey look, it's one of the stars of our show, the Leek. While that chicken was cooking, you were slicing these in half. Leeks are nature's pack of dirty playing cards, but not the kind you get at a truck stop. Make sure you don't accidentally create a Roman leek viaduct that spills water everywhere, because then Devin's gonna have to clean that up. I'll forget about leeks for months, and then I'll be like, oh yeah, leeks are awesome. How could I forget about you, you cylindrical, oniony, tall, gorgeous. Shh. I'm gonna chop this relatively thin until we have a big leaky pile. If you wanna make chicken noodle soup, just remember that leeks are essentially natural nesting doll cannelloni. And if you wanna make chicken needle soup, it's best to wait for Halloween. Now we're gonna chop up whatever amount of celery and whatever amount of carrots, which might make you think this soup is made of anything shaped like a stick, which is true. And also some things that are not shaped like a stick. We'll throw those chopped veggies in the saucepan formerly known as the chicken pot, and ponder to ourselves why we're making a hot salad as we wang-jangle them together and use the abrasive texture of the leek to clean the bottom of the pot. We're also gonna manually smithereen an entire bulb of garlic, and we're gonna dismantle a good chunk of ginger. You can also just shred it, then throw both the garlic and ginger in the pot, and you can relax now. All the chopping is done, and you did a really good job. Go ahead and have a cookie. We're gonna add in 4 cups of veggie broth, which is the broth with the best flavor on account of how it tastes. Now we're gonna add that chicken back into the saucepan currently known as the hot wet salad pot. We're gonna let that cook inside the broth for at least 20 minutes or so. Don't look now, it's my #1 all-time favorite spice, cumin. And we'll throw in a couple teaspoons, or probably more. We're also gonna add some turmeric, which is a superfood with natural healing properties. If you have a cut and you eat some turmeric, it will heal. But even if you don't eat the turmeric, it will still heal. That's how powerful turmeric is. Even if you don't pronounce the R, it'll still heal. Don't look now, but it's the mineral that brings out the best in everybody. Salt. I'm adding 2 teaspoons of this delicious rock, and we'll see if we need more later. Fun fact, people didn't used to say soup. They said, so if you put a bunch of different ingredients into some broth and cook it with some spices and some salt, that's what's up. But later shortened it to soup to save time. Oh, by the way, put that cookie down because I lied about being done chopping. Here comes the potatoes. Don't be mad that I lied. I left it as a surprise so that you didn't sink into vegetable chopping despair. We're chopping these very small so they'll cook quick and melt in your mouth. Could you have used a food processor for all this chopping? Yes, you could have. But should you have used a food processor for all this chopping? Yes, you should have. Now I don't want to see you again for a month. Go. Now we're gonna remove the chicken and introduce the potatoes to the hot wet veggie salad. Then we're gonna grab a couple forks and manually shred it, and then we'll pretend I was recording when I threw those shreds back in. Finally, one last special ingredient, a full can of lard. Lard just really adds a good flavor to the soup. This is vegan lard from a coconut tree, and we'll just wang-jangle that in there. And now it's time for the most important part, cooking and adjusting. You want to make sure the hands of your pot are perfectly parallel to your counter so that it doesn't bother you. Once that's adjusted, check for wabs, and see if the soup needs more salt or spice. If you're having a dinner party and you realize you've added too much salt, one way you can save the situation is by faking your death. But hopefully you went slow and steady with the salt and it tastes perfect. You can make this really soupy, but if you like it thick, you can cook it down until it's more of a stew. I personally prefer it as a stoop. You can also get stupid if you want. It's really up to you. While you're eating this, you might want to check out my new book, Chicken Soup for the Existentially Rattled, with stories such as, I swear I left my keys right here, is that a glitch? And, is this simulation inside another simulation? And, the earth might not actually be as flat as I think. Or you can read my crusty old book, but honestly, the craftsmanship is so bad I wouldn't bother. If you make this soup just once, honestly, I dare you to try not to make this soup ever again. But I know you will, because you're super susceptible to reverse psychology, and that's something you should probably work on this year.